Welcome to the No Name MMA Show. And welcome to the No Name MMA Show. My name is Motivated Andy, and we're going to be going over UFC Long Island. And oh my god, what a fucking card. Only 4 decisions. You motherfuckers got spoiled. I did not get to see this motherfucker live. And you guys got fucking everything that you could have ever wanted, except for a knockout in the Charles Jourdain-Shane Burgos fight. I mean, I thought both of those motherfuckers were going to be, like, tough as shit to be putting out. But, I mean, oh my god. We will get to Matt Schnell versus Sumadarchi later. But, dear fucking god. And not to mention, if you don't watch the fucking prelims, fuck you, fuck your life, fuck everything about you, fuck your kids, fuck your wife, fuck your family. You fucking missed out on some grade A MMA and early morning, some serial shit. I mean, nobody expects this early in the morning. I mean, I didn't expect it. UFC on ABC 3 was spectacular beginning to end. Well, beginning to co-end. But we'll be going over that later. First, let's talk about Jessica Penne versus Emily Ducote. Emily Ducote was Ducati, whatever. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say Ducote. She goes out there, puts on the works against Jessica Penne. She just kicks that lead leg, and it looks like Jessica Penne was just not ready for that. Like, in any aspect. I mean, she wasn't really ready to switch stances either. That leg was getting beaten up the whole time, and it was just a baseball bat at the very end. Ducote does end up getting the win. When we go into the main event, UFC on ABC 3, Lauren Murphy versus Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate had the mindset that I'm going to run over Lauren Murphy. I'm going to get this shot against Valentina, and I'm going to do what Pena did to Nunes, and I'm going to get that double champ status. Lauren Murphy didn't get the memo, and Lauren Murphy just goes up there and fucking train wrecks Miesha Tate. I mean, the first round is a little competitive, but I had Lauren Murphy winning that first round, and then it's just a snowball effect. The second round is nothing but worse. She ends up pummeling Miesha Tate. I mean, if we see this this was after the corner got to do some work on it. I mean, it was bad. Like, this is nothing compared to what it actually was. And all credit to Lauren Murphy. Completely unfazed. Looked so good out there. Looked like like her body was made for the weight class and had been forged through all the years that she's done it. Miesha Tate, even though she did look like in shape, it didn't look like a body of somebody who's been in this weight class the entire time. It did look like a body that was coming from bantamweight, did look better, and did make the right decisions going into flyweight, but it's just different. It's almost like the Max Holloway fight wherever he fought at 155 against Dustin Poirier. Like, it was just off a little bit, and when you're facing the top echelon of fighters in a weight class, like, you need to be on your A game. And unfortunately, Miesha might have been, but Lauren's was just even better. Lauren Murphy does exactly what she's supposed to do after the fight. After the fight, does what we want all fighters to do. You have earned the mic. You have put on a performance. She goes out there, she says, Jessica Andrade versus Maina Fior, that's going to be a number one contender fighter, whatever. I want the winner of that. I'm here. I'm still awake. Like, I still have time. And just does exactly what we need. Like, call a fighter, call your shot. When asked who you want next, tell the people who you want next, make them watch, make them interested, and she does exactly that. Unfortunately for her, Kaitlyn Chookagian somehow replaces Jessica Andrade, who was the original replacement for Kaitlyn Chookagian against Maina Fior. I know, it's fucking crazy. But yeah, she ends up getting the winner of that. She puts on an amazing performance against a legend in the UFC sport. MMA sport. But Miesha Tate now is at a crossroads where She failed at 135. She went down to 125. She failed at 125. And now maybe it's looking like I go back into retirement if I'm Miesha Tate, especially after what happened against Caitlin Vieira, which it was more of the same of this. And then after this performance, I'm just getting like tuned the fuck up by these girls. Why do I still want to be here? I get it. You want to be a champion, but is probably not what you thought it was going to be. Moving on from that, the people's main event, Shane Burgos versus Charles Jourdain. Yair Jourdain gets mounted triangle from behind by Shane Burgos relatively quick. That was the first round. That was the second round. Eventually, the third round was just insane. Charles Jourdain was just pissed off, woke the fuck up after getting mounted, triangled, trying to get submitted, to the point where Keith Peterson had to check on Charles Jourdain's hand to make sure he wasn't out. But yeah, like, it was spectacular third round for Charles Jourdain. In my opinion, it was a 10-8. I mean, he threw and landed at least 89 strikes before Shane Burgos struck him down for the last minute of the fight. And yeah, the judges saw it, which is really weird, saw it exactly how I saw it, and gave 2 rounds to Shane Burgos. And that third round, one judge gave him a 10-8, which was a majority decision win. So 29-28 by 2 judges, and 1 judge had it 28-28. Yeah, Charles Jourdain fought a tough battle against a very game opponent in Shane Burgos, and Shane Burgos is very well rounded and took advantage of that. But that chin, I mean, I don't know. Just all the abuse that Shane Burgos has had over the years, he immediately calls out for a ranked opponent after this, saying that TKZ would be a valid opponent. And man, that would be fucking crazy. A fight night, please, not a fight night main event for my boy Korean Zombie, though. He needs a break. He needs a 3-rounder. But yeah, Shane Burgos ends up winning that war, and that is the final decision of the evening. I mean, like, about Dwight Grant shitting the bed against Dustin Stolfoltz. I'm sorry if I got your last name right. Dustin does enough to get the win over Dwight, but Dwight shit the bed and fucking forever. We will move on to Dustin Jacoby, who was almost about to shit the bed. His last performance, he didn't throw one fucking kick, so I was pretty upset with him, but I figured this time around he would be on point, going out there, doing his thing as a kickboxer, and he kind of does. Jung Da-un does have just a little bit, just gets to the spot just a little bit earlier, more frequent, lands a little bit better, and I'm starting to worry. I'm like, oh my god, Dustin Jacoby's gonna fucking lose again. And out of fucking nowhere, he just lands this monster shot, and Jung Da-un's head dribbles off the fucking canvas. Dustin Jacoby with the first round KO. First of many. But then let's talk about fucking Bill Algeo, this fucking god of a man. Herbert Burns goes out there and puts Algeo in this triangle and just keeps on being in this triangle. And I'm like, oh my god, like, why is he not fucking out? Like, he should be going limp. Bill Algeo, the fucking dog, somehow reverses the position, gets on top. Herbert Burns is out of it, getting hurt, and just for whatever reason doesn't want to get up off the canvas. Struggles to get to his corner after the first round. Going to the second round, Bill Algeo is just like, fuck it, I'm gonna smash this dude, and he does exactly that. And the easiest solution was just to get up and make him get up. And unfortunately, Herbert Burns does not have the facilities to get up, and Keith Peterson has to stop the fight, calls it. It looked like Herbert Burns had already admitted defeat. It looked like he was gassed. He says in the post-fight press conference that he messed up his knee. He was unable to walk. Gilbert Burns, his brother, is like picking him up and taking him somewhere. And now I'm just trying to figure out which is the worst superstar sibling, either Herbert Burns or Antonina Shevchenko. One of those has got to take the crown. And for me, at least Antonina she can't do anything else, but she can kickbox. Herbert Burns, with all due respect, just gives up on the stool, straight up. And this loss And I'm not even going to talk about Herbert Burns anymore because Bill Algeo gets all the fucking credit for this amazing comeback win. I mean, he had Herbert Burns when he was dry on the ground getting triangled for minutes by this jiu-jitsu player of God, and somehow he ends up getting the win over him. Insane. Bill Algeo, another finish, first of many. We end up with fucking Ricky Simone, though. Like, he goes out there facing off against Jack Shore, undefeated Jack Shore. He was 16-0 going into this. Ricky Simone not getting any respect from anybody. Like, everybody was talking about Jack Shore. Why didn't Jack Shore wait 1 week? Why didn't the UFC put him on UFC London? Like, he deserves blah blah blah. Ricky Simone said, fuck that, I'm taking that 0, I'm taking everything that I want. Goes up there, slams fucking Jack Shore like it doesn't mean anything, and then he ends up on the ground. This was after a back and forth that Ricky, I believe, was winning, but it doesn't matter. Ricky gets him down, chokes him out, gets the bonus, immediately calls out Sean O'Malley, which is the correct call out. If I'm Ricky Simone, I want that man, and I want him right the fuck now. His wrestling was incredible, and if I'm Sean O'Malley, I am waiting for Henry Cejudo. I am not fighting Ricky Simone. I want nothing about Ricky Simone anywhere near me. But yeah, fucking bantamweight. Oh my god! I mean, this is what 15th ranked. 15th ranked bantamweight looks like. Moving on from that, Punahele Soriano gets back on the right track, KOing Dalcha Liam. I'm going to try Lungjiambula. Lungjiambula apparently in the middle of the round was just like poking at his rib, and apparently like it got out of socket or something. Like it was busted, or I don't know, but Punahele Soriano doesn't care. He immediately lands something in the second round. Like immediately, like right at the start of it. And Dalcha Lungjiambula gets to one knee, he lands a follow-up shot, and that's game. That's it. Punahele Soriano gets the KO, immediately starts working the crowd, asking for the 50 Gs. Everybody's asking for the 50 Gs, and in my opinion, everybody should have gotten it, and they did. They put in the work. All these finishes, I mean, you're talking about 4 finishes in the prelims. Prelims, guys. Prelims. We get into the MMA gods' fucking gift to me. Matthew Schnell against Sumo Darji. I didn't have any expectations of this. Nobody knew flyweight can go this fucking hard. I've never seen flyweight go this hard. But oh my god. First off, I'm getting chills. Sumo Darji goes out there and puts work on Matthew Schnell for the first round. We're talking, I mean, he knocks him down or wobbles him at least 3 separate times. And that might be a conservative amount, if I'm actually being honest. Sumo Darji goes out there and does like standing, perfect elbows that just drop Schnell to his knees, lands everything perfect. I mean, it's putting on a violent work of a performance. And somehow Matt Schnell is like, alright bro, let's go. And Sumo apparently like gasses out. Matt Schnell takes full advantage, takes him down, starts elbowing his face into the mat. And it's almost like Sumo's just gassed himself. Just done. Done. Completely done. Meanwhile, Matt Schnell's like, fuck it. Ends up just demolishing him, puts him in a submission, and leaves him unconscious on his foot as he makes one of the greatest comebacks I have ever witnessed live. And oh my god. I mean, I didn't even watch this live. I watched this the day after. And I was shook. I was shaking. I was like, oh my god, what the fuck is going on? The fucking chaos, the just everything, the blood, the violence, just the heart. It was just so fucking good. And flyweight is not your daddy's flyweight because, dear God, what a fucking war by both of these guys. And yeah, Matthew Schnell, performance of the night, comeback of the night. What a fucking dog. But then we have the King of Kung Fu against Li Jingliang. Li Jingliang is coming off the loss against Khamzat. Muslim Salikov is a G, starts throwing spinning shit from the get-go. Starts kind of guessing out a little bit. Like, you could see it be so fast. And then he shoots, I believe, in a desperation shot, but then Li Jingliang just stuffs that. Coming back up, he hits, I want to say like a left hook or a right hook. I don't know. He hits something behind the ear, and Salikov just goes out. He follows up, and that's the end of the fight. Li Jingliang is back on top. And yeah, he wants another shot at Neil Magny. He says that the last time it wasn't him, and he looks so fucking good this time around. That's another finish for UFC on ABC 3. We then have Amanda Lemos against Michelle Waterson. I thought Amanda Lemos was going to go out here and finish Michelle Waterson via KO. She puts on work against Michelle. She starts landing a little bit of side kicks, which cause a little bit of issues for Lemos because it's keeping the distance. She can't really reach Michelle Waterson like that, but then eventually she snatches Waterson's neck in a very nasty guillotine. She's on the ground. She turns it over to the side, and I guess Michelle Waterson thought that she was going to end up rolling onto her back, and it was going to be a mounted guillotine, and she taps. Unbeknownst to the camera guys and also to the ref, Amanda Lemos feels the tap, lets go. Michelle Waterson is still kind of like, in that fuzzy state of being almost out, but she acknowledges, I did tap. That was a fair end. And then, yeah, the streaks of finish continue. We end up with the main event. Brian Ortega against Yair Rodríguez. Everybody thought this was going to be a bar burner, including me. At the very beginning, it did seem like that. Yair Rodríguez was having a lot of success on feet. He was landing on Brian Ortega really quick, really early, clean shots. Brian Ortega was responding, but Yair was, in my opinion, was getting the better of him. Brian Ortega does go out there, does try to wrestle Yair Rodríguez. He puts him up against the cage, tries to sweep him, tries to do everything possible to get him out of there. But Yair Rodríguez is just on point. He ends up on the ground going for an armbar or something, and he ends up pulling his shoulder out of the socket. And you can see it in the slow-mo replay. Yeah, it's just very disappointing end to a very amazing night of fights. But you can only have so much, and the MMA gods are cruel. And after all that violence, and after all that just amazing violence, like grade A, this bittersweet end to the night doesn't ruin it. It's just kind of like, damn, it could have been so good. But Yair Rodríguez is Josh Emmett's best friend, because this is the best case scenario for Josh Emmett. Now we have to see Yair Rodríguez against Josh Emmett. That is if Brian Ortega does not have to go through surgery, which I think he will have to. So, yeah, Yair Rodríguez versus Josh Emmett, #1 contender shot for who fights Volkanovski, if that fight does not happen before the announced fight between Islam Makhachev against Charles do Bronx in Abu Dhabi, October 22nd. It was a fun night of fights. Talk at you guys for the show when we go over what we want to see next, but dear God, UFC on ABC. Spoiled. Hopefully we welcome a lot of new casual fans on board.
Call me I know what he calls you. Call me a fatherless bastard, dude.